For the past 2 years, I've been deep into learning machine embroidery. There's so much to know and learn about embroidery, and it's been an overwhelming journey for good and not so good reasons. To top it off, I also decided to learn embroidery digitizing. Through my embroidery journey, I have been working on a state embroidery collection, and this is what led to my first custom order. A returning customer really loved their Washington crew neck, so much so that they requested a custom embroidery crew neck for their small business. Initially, this was intimidating, feeling like I was not ready to pursue a custom order. I had never done this before, I didn't know where to start, and felt overwhelmed by all the potential bad outcomes. But then I stopped and pushed myself to think positively and recognize the potential in this opportunity. There was a customer that loved what I made and wanted something special made for them. I held on to this feeling and reflected on the skills I had built, the improvements in my digitizing skills, and how far I have come. This was an opportunity to put my digitizing and embroidery skills to the test, so I accepted the challenge and got to work. When I received the request for a custom order that featured flowers, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Flowers are intricate with a lot of detail and layers, and I knew this would push my skills further than ever before. I have been leveling up my digitizing skills lately with some amazing turnouts in my Oregon and Arizona state embroidery designs, so I leaned on this experience to push me forward. With a few inspo pictures from the customer, I was able to start testing. Initially, I leaned on a design for a bouquet of flowers to honor the business's flower farm practice, but that was challenging. I had a limited amount of colors to work with and had difficulty creating enough detail to highlight the beauty of each flower, especially on a small embroidery space. I had to pivot and find another way. This is where I decided to work on one flower instead to allow me to use more color and detail. This was a good match between my current style while still honoring the customer's vision. The digitizing process was honestly intimidating. I spent hours mapping designs, learning about color shading, and watching tutorials for flower digitizing. It took me quite some time to come up with the first design and had to remind myself that the first design will not be perfect. After overcoming this obstacle and narrowing in on the focus of the design, the digitizing process really started speeding up. There was an order and sequence for digitizing each individual flower petal, and each one layered on top of each other, giving the dahlia flower depth and dimension. Click after click, the flower started coming to life and the color shading was working out perfectly. So the next step was to get the customer's thoughts, and my only hope was that I was heading in the right direction. I was so excited when the customer was thrilled with the design. This being my first flower design was so rewarding to get such positive feedback. This was the biggest green light to move forward, and that meant gathering materials. I've slowly been building my embroidery thread collection, and when creating new designs, I use my box of Madeira rayon thread to test with. Now that the design was approved, I can purchase the larger spools to ensure I have enough thread for this order. I already have stabilizer in stock thanks to the large roll we purchased at the start of our embroidery journey. I'll just need to cut out several sheets ahead of time. And the last but largest material order I'll need to make are the crew necks. With the materials ordered, this was definitely starting to feel real. Fast forward and the inventory started to be delivered. This was happening. The sudden rush of a long to-do list started coming over me. This was our largest order to fulfill ever. With 21 crew necks to prepare and embroider, I had my work cut out for me. This was going to be a true test of my organization. Each crew neck was set to complete in 35 minutes, and with only one machine, I knew I'd be spending hours each day just keeping the process moving. After double-checking that all the crew necks were delivered, it was time to process them. That meant branding the crew necks. Branding the inside of each crew neck was an unexpected moment of calm before the busy and loud working environment our small studio space was going to turn into. I found peace in this simple, repetitive task. Each label was carefully placed, pressed, and revealed. There was something meditative about this process, smoothing the fabric, centering the label, and watching the crisp reveal of each colored crew neck. In this moment, I felt connected to my work, reminding me that even the smallest details matter. Before I could even think about starting up the embroidery machine, I realized how crucial it was to have every single material prepped and ready, especially in my small studio where every inch of workspace matters. With 21 crewnecks to embroider and only one machine, I knew that any clutter or disorganization would slow me down and make the whole process more stressful. Cutting out all of the stabilizer sheets ahead of time became my secret weapon. It might seem like a small step, but in a limited space, having stacks of perfectly sized stabilizer ready to go meant I wasn't scrambling or losing precious time mid-project. Instead of stopping to measure and cut for every single crewneck, I could just grab 2 sheets of stabilizer, hoop the crewneck, and keep the momentum going. As I worked, I found a rhythm. Measure, slice, stack. The pile of perfectly sized stabilizer sheets grew quickly, and with every piece, I felt a little more prepared and a little more grounded. It was a quiet, focused moment before the hum of the embroidery machine took over the studio. In what felt like no time, I had everything I needed, neatly organized and ready to go. Getting my embroidery machine ready for a big order has become its own little ritual, a moment to slow down and make sure every detail is just right before the hours of stitching begin. I always start by oiling the machine, making sure everything is running smoothly. It's a small step, but it keeps the machine happy and helps prevent any problems later on. Next, I carefully thread the machine with the correct embroidery thread for the design, starting with the pink design first. One of the biggest improvements in my process came from using Hatch Embroidery 3. The software provides detailed information on how many meters of bobbin thread each design will require. With this data, I could accurately plan ahead and learned that I could complete 3 crewnecks per bobbin thread spool. This insight allowed me to develop a reliable system. After every 3rd crewneck, I'd swap out the bobbin, ensuring I never ran out of bobbin thread mid-embroidery. And I can simply save these remaining small spools for future test embroidery so it doesn't have to go to waste. Having the system in place gave me peace of mind and kept the workflow smooth, even with just one machine running for hours each day. With everything prepped and organized, I could focus on the creative work, confident that the technical side was under control. As soon as the embroidery machine started up, the studio filled with a new kind of energy. The quiet focus of prep was replaced by the constant hum and clatter of the machine, making the small space feel busy and alive. But thanks to all the preparation, having crewnecks branded, the stabilizer pre-cut, I was able to keep coasting along, checking off each crewneck on my order list and staying efficient. With each 35-minute embroidery cycle, I found a rhythm. While the machine stitched away on one crewneck, I was prepping the next crewneck for hooping, making sure everything was lined up and ready to go. I also used this time to clean up the stabilizer from completed pieces. One of the tools that's become essential in this process is my thread burner. At first, I was honestly intimidated by the tiny torch. The idea of using heat so close to fabric made me very nervous. But with every crewneck, I grew more comfortable, learning how to quickly and safely burn away threads for a polished finish. The satisfying burn of the thread and the clean result it left behind made the effort worth it. This multitasking, hooping, trimming, and cleaning up threads help keep my small workspace organized and efficient, even as the studio buzzed with activity. I could see my confidence growing with each step, turning what once felt intimidating into a smooth, almost meditative part of my embroidery workflow. The way the stabilizer is trimmed makes a difference, not just in how the inside of the crewneck feels, but in the overall finish of the piece. I started experimenting with different cutting patterns, playing around with rounded edges and smooth curves instead of sharp corners. This approach helped avoid any scratchy bits or awkward edges, resulting in a much cleaner and more comfortable finish on the inside. Finding the right pattern for each cut became a small creative challenge of its own, and it was satisfying to see a neat, professional result every time I turned a crewneck inside out. There were long stretches where the machine hummed for hours. Some days it felt like all I did was swap out blinks and hit start over and over. But every time I unhooped the finished piece and saw the floral design come to life, it reminded me why I took on this challenge in the first place. Packaging this order was the final heartfelt step in the process, a chance to add the small business touch that makes each delivery feel special. I took extra care to fold each crew neck just right, gently smoothing out any wrinkles and layering them into these large Ziploc style bags to keep the apparel dry and neat during transit. Adding a personal touch, I handwrote each customer's name on their tag, hoping to create a moment of delight when they opened their package. It felt meaningful to reuse the shipment box that originally brought the blank crew necks to my studio as a way to keep things eco-friendly. Sealing it all up with our custom packaging tape was one of the most satisfying final touches, turning a simple box into something truly representative of our brand and the care that went into every stitch. Looking back, I'm grateful I didn't let fear hold me back. Taking on this challenge made me a better digitizer and a more confident creator. Sometimes the best way to grow is to say yes, even when you're not sure you're ready. This project taught me that small systems like a simple checklist or prepping materials in advance can turn a daunting task into something manageable. Even with just one machine, a little planning and a lot of persistence can get you through a big order, one stitch at a time.